In this video, I'm going to show how to make the door and the drawer. Okay, I've glued stiffeners to the back of the door, and now I'm going to add the hinges. I'm going to set my router bit heights to the thickness of the hinge because I'm going to cut a double depth mortise in the door and no mortise in the cabinet sidewall. It's easier to do it that way. So I'll go to the router table and I'll take out material from here to most of the material with the router bit, and establish the depth for the mortise, and then finish it off with a wood chisel. Well, I've nearly completed the door on my stand. Added a little stop block, and I'm going to add a closing mechanism. I've bent the heavy wire into this question mark shape. And I'm going to install it on the door stiffener. I've got a screen door spring in here, and this will act as a door closer, and also it will help hold the door open and safely out of the way while we're tipping tools, changing tools from one to the other. For the drawer, I have a front piece rabbeted for the sides and rabbeted for the bottom. Two sides with dados cut for the back, and I've got all the pieces sized so they should go together quite directly. And the back. Add the bottom, and I know you cabinet makers are going to cringe when you see me just nailing the bottom onto the bottom of the drawer, but I wanted to make absolute maximum useful depth in the drawer. I wanted the drawer deep enough to store sanding drums vertically. And if I set the flooring in the conventional way, the drawer is not going to be deep enough for that. I'm going to drill in 4 dowels into each side to reinforce the joint between the sides and the front. Four on each side. To install the dowels, the reinforcing dowels in the corners of the drawer, sides into the front, I use this knife with a partial sawtooth blade to cut some flutes in the dowel. Add a little bit of glue to each of the holes, and then drive the dowel in with a drill. and cut off the dowel with a knife. When the glue is dry, I just use my belt sander to smooth off the cut-off dowels. Install pulls on the drawer and the door. Use 1/2 inch or 12 millimeter plywood for the spacers and a contrasting hardwood for the handles. You may have noticed that on my original stand I had to depress the caster extend pedal before I could open the accessories drawer. I wanted to try to make a latch system here so that I could open the drawer regardless of where the pedal was positioned. So I've come up with a latch made up of an arm and a pawl, a little support piece, and a little toe pedal. This arm pivots in a hole in the caster arm, and glued to the side of it is the pawl, P-A-W-L, the part that actually goes into the slot to hold the pedal down. Now I've added a little toe pedal to retract the pawl when you want to retract the pedals. And then just to give this whole latch assembly a little more stability, I've added an extra support piece to kind of give it a little bit more bearing so it'll stay aligned with the pawl will stay aligned with the slot a little better. So, I'll include some full-size drawings of these pieces in the plans. Here's my prototype latch, and there's one more piece. At the very bottom is a small round head screw, and I've attached a tension spring to it. The tension spring connects to a little round head screw near the tip of the caster arm. And the little tension spring pops the latch into the slot when the pedal is depressed. And with the little toe pedal, you can extract the pawl from the slot and allow the casters to retract. And of course, that's the drawer open regardless of what position the latch is in. Well, a couple of coats of polyurethane, water-based, with light standing in between coats with 220 grit paper, and the stand is completed. And I think it's worked out pretty well. What do you think? So, I've put quite a bit of work into the plans. I've come up with 3D drawings, eight pages of complete 3D drawings, and I think you could easily build a stand from this set of drawings. The cabinet, the base skirt and the retracting casters, the drawer, the door, the flip-top support linkage, drawer and door pulls and the door closer mechanism, full-size drawings for the latch, the retract pedal latch pieces, and a full half-scale drawing of the retract caster system. I also have a full set of those same drawings with metric dimensions, And the metric dimensions are not simply fractions or factors of the imperial measurements. They're based on a 40 by 40 centimeter top with dimensions worked down from that. I've taken about 35 still pictures and have put them together with assembly instructions and tips. So I have 6 pages of assembly instructions together with still pictures. And a complete list of materials with dimensions in both imperial and metric measurements. All plywood pieces, all hardwood pieces, hinges, and so on. Here's my new flip-top stand with the oscillating spindle sander and mortising tool installed. To demonstrate it, unhook the dust collection hose. Lift out the inserts. Okay, here's the mortising tool. Here's what I did with my old stand. I put my scroll saw on the top and another seldom used tool on the bottom. My old stick welder. When I took this apart to put in the mounting bolts, I found so much dust inside here that it's a wonder it hadn't shorted and caught fire. Anyway, it'll be happy being stored in a little less dusty environment. And because the weld was pretty heavy, I did put a handle on the welder to make it a little bit easier to invert, a little easier and safer to invert.